This is the ISSP podcast. The International Society for Sports Psychiatry, or ISSP, aims to carry the science and practice of psychiatry to the athletic community. My co-hosts and I are all medical trainees between medical students and resident physicians who plan to specialize in psychiatry. And we host conversations around the intersection between mental health and sports. Welcome.
Welcome. Appreciate everyone for being able to be here. Today we got a great interview set up for y'all. Talk to my good friend and fraternity brother, Victor Vicious Williams. Truly a Renaissance man. He's a current Super Welterweight record of 3-0 boxer. Also the owner and CEO of FIGHTshapeFIT Health and Wellness, NASM and Precision Nutrition Certified Personal Trainer and Nutritionist who graduated from Dartmouth College in 2016 with a degree in engineering. Also, on top of all of that, was a multi-year dual sport athlete in track and field and football. How you balance two sports and Dartmouth, I got to get the tips from you because I'm still need that. Supremely impressive, man. Contributions over 4 years, he brought home, and during that time, brought home the Ivy League championship in 2015, and a crazy amount of individual accomplishments, including all-time top 10 records held in total receptions, which he was 5th, total receiving yards with 9th on the list, and single season receptions 5th on the list, and the 2nd highest all-time single game receiving yards. Also part of the 4x1 track team that posted an all-time top 10 time. Moved to boxing wasn't too hard to connect with his cerebral approach to life and comfort in martial arts as a black belt holder in karate. Also, his boxing career started soon after picking up his cleats, developing his craft over a span of 4 years to a resounding 13-2 amateur record. Under the tutelage of Terrence Woods, sparring with the likes of Antoine Russell, Keyshawn Williams, Vic made the jump to pro boxing in 2019. I think with his unmatched dedication, success is really no stranger to the man. He remains undefeated in his professional career. Again, as I said, he's 3-0 with the upcoming bout May 7th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So extremely excited to have you here, my guy. Really looking forward to hearing what you have to say, hearing about your journey to get into the boxing ring, and just giving the chance for people to get to know you. So really appreciate you being here, man. I really do.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored that you thought about reaching out to me about this. So can't wait to jump in.
Sure. Well, first, if you could just, for the folks who don't know you as well as I've come to know you over the years, just give a brief introduction about kind of who you are and what got you interested in boxing.
Man, I think that beyond the accolades and stuff like that, like a little bit deeper, I'm from Muskogee, Oklahoma, and was born and raised there. I always played a lot of football. That was what we were into. And then made my way up to college in Dartmouth. And beyond that, how I ventured into boxing or how I discovered boxing was after, like Charles Bay had said, after I hung up my cleats playing football. I was just looking for a way to stay in shape, but do something that I enjoyed without like having to lift so much weight. Like as being a football player, it's a lot of weight lifted, a lot of wear and tear on the joints. So I was like, man, like let me get back into some sort of like martial arts training. And Bay, I know you know Dom Pierre. I worked with him in my first job out of college, and he knew that I was into like martial arts. I was like, yo, like you trying to go to this UFC gym? And I was like, yeah, like for sure. And we went to the class, and it was a general boxing conditioning class, and about 45 minutes to an hour. And after it was over, the instructor came out, was like, yo, good job today. You ever boxed before? I was like, nah. He's like, oh, you never done this. I was like, nah. He's like, you should probably talk to the technical boxing coach, Terrence Wood. I think you could be pretty good. I was like, okay, cool, sure. And so talked to him after that session, and he was like, all right, come back tomorrow. And I came back that day, and I came back the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And he was like, all right, like do you want to compete? And I was like, sure, why not? I like to compete. So just kind of fell in love with it immediately. And the rest is there. I had 15 amateur fights, and in the midst of COVID, just trying to find a way to keep that momentum going. And through all of that, like having like career changes from corporate America to boutique fitness to running my own operation and all that stuff, it's definitely been a learning journey for sure.
And I mean, for me, personally, like the transition from really being done with football and not picking anything back up was a little tough for me, and kind of, I was able to dive into studying medicine and going from there. How was the transition from, always been an athlete, giving up, the two sports in college, and then finding the footing, getting into boxing? Like, did you feel that was a tough transition for you, or you had other things going on that allowed you to feel, I guess, centered and stable?
Man, I think it was definitely a tough transition, having to sort of like settle into like a little bit of a different identity, post college, like I guess kind of post being an athlete, because I wasn't really quite sure about what I was going to do fitness wise, for like the first 6 months. I was just trying to get furniture and all of that stuff, so having trying to get my bearings in a new city, like having never been in a big city before, not having like a lot of family nearby. So really trying to just, pull resources to get, the things here and there and build from, less than zero. Mm-hmm. That was what took up, a lot of, my time. So I would say directly post college, I was just more so caught up in that. And I think around like 24, 25 is when I started to have like a little bit more of a, like, it hit me a little bit harder, you know what I'm saying? After I was like settled and I was like, okay, like this is what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. And like I wasn't really happy with what I was doing in work. And, I saw other people. It's like you kind of get into that trap of like comparison to other friends or what other people may be doing in their journey. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, it got a little tough, but I think the boxing, getting more involved with that definitely helped me stay busy, and the gym has always been a sanctuary for me. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I can go to meditate. I don't always listen to music when I train. Sometimes I just like it to be just completely silent, and I'm just with myself and my own thoughts. So yeah, there were some times of like where it was a tough transition, but boxing definitely helped.
Yeah. So following up on like transition, how did you feel the transition from going from a team sport like football to going to an individual like boxing? Did your mentality change about it, or kind of talk us through that?
Yeah. You know what? I always liked one-on-one sports a lot, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I love playing football. I did it for a majority of my life. But it's definitely a different mentality, because it's mano a mano. It's like you don't have to rely on anyone else for your success, and you can't rely on anyone else for your success. It's like your coach can tell you what to do. He can yell at you, scream at you till his face turns blue, but he ain't in there fighting with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's different, or you don't have anybody to lean on in those moments, physically, right?
For sure.
So I like that. I think the reason I like that is because I haven't always been on like good teams. So, nothing against, any of my teammates in the past, but, I haven't always been on this like good teams or winning teams, until we turned the kind of like our class and the class before us helped turn the program around at Dartmouth to get a championship. And so, I always like, look, I know I'm gonna work hard. I know what ability I have. Like, I know there's not many people out there that are stronger or faster than me or smarter than me or work harder than me. That's my, what I'm saying? That's in my mind, and so if there are people that are out there that have, I know I'm not the strongest or fastest. So it's like, I know that I believe in my own ability to figure out how to finesse and be creative with those fundamentals like we were kind of talking about before we got on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's what I like about the one-on-one sport more than the team sport. Both have pros and cons, but
yeah. Of course, yeah, definitely. No, that makes sense, and it just seems like your mentality, like going into that individual sport, really helped you take off with it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think what's also one of the cons of a sport like boxing is that it's or like not even just boxing, like or like, you know, combat sports, wrestling, is that it's one-on-one. So it's like when it comes down to it, it's like there can only be one person in the number one spot. So what does that look like? Usually, you know, it usually ends up, you know, you just being in the gym on your own. You know what I'm saying? Like it's in order to get to that level, like you have to put in a certain amount of work that's required to where it's gonna get lonely. You know what I'm saying? It gets lonely. And if you can't generate the internal discipline or motivation to just show up and get the work done, then, you know, you're fooling yourself if you think you're gonna reach certain heights. And that's difficult, right? Team sports, you have people there, you have, you know, camaraderie, you have that. But in boxing, in martial arts, if you want to be the best, you typically put in more work, or you find ways to get an edge, which requires more time. And that knowledge, you know, that or skill set that you have, you know, you kind of want to keep that close to chest. You don't want to share it with too many people anyways. So, yeah.
Yeah, Vic. I mean, just like carrying Charles's intros, like you've definitely done some amazing things on and off the field. You know, team sport, individual sport. So at least for us, like, you know, when we see some of our athletes, it seems that definitely like what you're saying, the individual sport athletes have a little bit more trouble with, you know, it being an individual sport. You put more pressure on yourself. You feel more of the weight, you know, when you lose, for example, compared to like on a team-based sport, you know, you can't really, it's not like we're going to blame just you, we're going to blame the whole team, right? So at least for that pressure, like transitioning from team to individual, what have you noticed has been, you know, some things that you noticed from switching, and more so like individual athletes, what could they be looking for if they do go towards a more individual route? Like what are some things, you know, loneliness, anxiety, depression, you think that's more in an individual sport?
I think it has the potential to be more prevalent because of that loneliness, right? You know, or feeling like there's not many people you know you can relate to, because you know you do have to cut out a lot of social events or whatever, you know. So I think that has the potential to be a bigger deal, or like you know, more frequent in, you know, one-on-one athletes or combat athletes or whatever you want to label that as. So yeah, it's really just knowing yourself and understanding like who you are, and having that self-awareness to put yourself in the best you know, I guess situation for success, or surrounding yourself with a good team of people who know you well and can help you in that. And that's not always accessible though, you know, to try to build a team first. So it's like how do you do that? Well, you know, you just kind of have to spend a lot of time like self-reflecting and you know, maybe even, you know, doing like little mini experiments and you know, taking down data, so, you know, on yourself, right? And then analyzing that and seeing, okay, like this is where I tend to fall off, this is where I tend to stray, this is what I do well. Let me focus on doing more of the things that I do well, and then hopefully that drowns the things that I don't do well out, right? And I say like focusing more on the things that you do well, and not like trying to avoid the things you don't do well, because the things that you tend to focus on manifest, right? So if you focus on trying not to manifest something, it probably will, you know. So it's just saying, okay, let me just focus on the good. Let's do more of the good stuff, and I think that can be a big help for some people, including myself. Does that answer your question?
No, yeah, for sure. That definitely answered it. I think just like when you lose, but definitely like you're 3-0, so those wins definitely feel sweeter, and definitely like is a testament of like you're, you know, fine-tuning your some of those data points, fine-tuning your individual skills, and like double down on your strengths, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just excited for the next one, so we'll see. Yeah.
I gotta you had said something about, well, what I thought was lacking at least from my approach, I won't speak for the team for when I was there. From my approach, like it was very easy to get, you know, very focused in on preparing for, you know, that next opponent that week, kind of seeing things from previous weeks and seeing how can I change and adapt. But like what I've gained from you, I think really, and been able to apply into medical school and kind of brought back into any like training that I'm doing is really being on top of whatever data points that I can track and be able to look back and really see what steps I need to take. What's, you know, where am I dipping? Where am I slipping? Is that a quality that you think you have had throughout your time throughout your entire athletic career with whatever sort of sports you were competing in, or is that something that has more developed as you've taken boxing more seriously and become the professional that you are?
No, definitely was not tracking all these data points or anything. I didn't have this knowledge when I was in college. I wish I did, man. I wish. I think that starting to do that stuff, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I don't do it all the time. I don't think it's necessary to do it all the time, right? Because we don't need to be in competition states all the time. That's not sustainable. Each state is not a sustainable state. But yeah, I think that's what separates just like an amateur from a professional is looking for ways to improve, and a part of that is experimentation. A part of any good experiment is data, and because data doesn't lie, right? So, and trying to look for different protocols to, you know, apply. If something's working, great. Try not to change it too much, but we also want to continue to evolve, because after a while, like you're going to become too efficient, right? So you need a new stimulus, right? Or a slightly different one. So I think just kind of thinking about it from that perspective is what has allowed me to like get to this level. I wish I would have had that information or that application to it, especially on the nutrition standpoint. Because I ate like crap for my entire life till I hurt, you know, until I turned like 24, 23. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, roundabout way of saying like, yeah, it's just like that data, that trying and retrying and tracking that versus just throwing a lot of different things at the wall and hoping something sticks. Is what has like kind of gotten me to this point.
Yeah. And like our times at Dartmouth, you came in, had maybe on the heels of a more successful season than in the past. But kind of just like what was your mindset coming in? How were you preparing yourself to be a part of a team that was rebuilding, had thrown some sparks, but hadn't really gotten over the hump, gotten a championship in a while, to, you know, fast forward a couple of years and y'all were winning a championship, a part of a team, great success, great contributions to the team that kind of turned it around. Can you kind of like, if you just think back, take us through the mindset that you had on being on a difficult team that was having some difficult outcomes, you know, the champions that we became to be?
You know, it like for me, it was the opportunity to start off on a clean slate. You know, I had gotten a chance to connect with some of the guys via Facebook the summer before, and you know, we were just talking about how we were training, and you know, I think that may have kind of set the tone for us getting there in the fall, because most people got there in a shape, and this was a collective effort. For me personally, let me answer that first. For me personally, it was just get on the field. It was just be the best. You know, it's like, look, like whoever I got to beat, like I had to do it my freshman year of high school, you know, as well. Like I got onto the field as a freshman in high school, and, you know, and led the team, led the district in interceptions at cornerback. And so I was fully prepared to go back into that state and to do that. Right. And I did that again, and I got on the field, and I ended up, you know, being a starter my freshman year of college. Just because I put the work in and I like had an attention to detail. I don't think it was as structured as what I would do now, but it was just pure work. And I think that, you know, more is not always better. But you know, at that point, I had did enough to get onto the field. And then from there, it was just all of us just like kind of just putting in the work, putting in extra time in the film study. You know, we saw each other putting in the work, and then we started doing it together, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a part of like kind of like the team aspect of the sport. And that's how we turned it around. Like we didn't settle for, you know, Sorry, it's my pup.
Whereas,
Yeah, we didn't settle for, you know, mediocre. Like, you know, we weren't allowed, like, people were serious about not drinking before practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know if that was, I had heard like that was a little bit of a different atmosphere in the years before, and like especially in like the 0 and 10 years and stuff like that. Like,
yep.
but you know what I'm saying, that is not what we were about at all as freshmen. And then as sophomores, and we came into like as, you know, it's an inter leadership, 8-2, 9-1. You know what I'm saying? Like we were out there really working.
Yeah.
So it was just setting the tone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you kind of like use all of your past experiences, all of your wins, losses to prepare for your next, because I know you've got a next fight coming up soon, May 7th, right, in Philly. And so do you kind of use what you've learned from all of your wins, losses, everything that you've experienced, football, boxing, you know, how is your mentality going into that fight pretty much?
Yeah, I've definitely learned, man, you know, from both positive and negative experiences, or yeah, and I guess I paused because they were just experiences, you know. I don't want to like place like that because I've learned from all of them. I think all of it has turned out to be a positive experience, even in those situations where I might not have like been able to perform in the way that I felt like I could have performed. But, you know, leading me to here now, you know, at this current level, you know, it's about understanding like in those situations where you will make, well, let me take a step back and say, like there is no situation in which you will be perfect. No matter, you know, you train hard, you try to train for perfection, but if you train with perfection with the expectation to be perfect, you will fail every single time, right? Or if you train with the expectation not to make mistakes or to avoid mistakes, like you are defeating the purpose. I think the purpose is that we learn neurologically by making mistakes, and that's how we self-correct over time. So, you know, it's like it's in competition, on nights of competition, or when thinking about those things, this understanding like, look, like you're gonna make mistakes and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And just be in the moment, focus on, you know, what you need to do, focus on what you want to do. And like I said earlier, don't focus on the things that you want to avoid.
For sure.
You know, so where the mind goes, the body flows. You focus on those negative things. That's probably where you're gonna go toward. So just allow myself to be in the moment, allow myself to make mistakes, and then just having fun, man. It's a sport. It's dangerous, but you know that's why I do. I love it. You know, football is dangerous too. So.
For sure. I think it's really important what you said of being in the moment, because I think so many athletes are focused on the next game, you know, where they can take, you know, their talents next, how they can continually evolve their game. But I think being in the moment and just like, you know, recognizing your presence there is so important for your mentality, for each and every, like, whether you're training or whether you've got a fight, whether you've got a big game, like that's huge. And I think that's really big for, you know, athletes coming up.
Absolutely. And also, like, I think just like taking that a little bit deeper, some recent studies have come out and shown like the mentality towards like training from a perspective of having already won, how that is negative. Like, you know, picturing yourself, like, you know, I guess too frequently, like as if you like I have the championship belt, right? You want to have confidence, but you don't want to have this aura of like having already arrived, or put your mind in the state as if it's already achieved this thing. I think
right
is the way that I'm trying to articulate that, right? So yeah, it's like having that confidence and picturing things going well, but not picturing or picturing things in general, just visualizing overall both challenging circumstances and successful situations, and then having a winning mentality, but not having an already won mentality, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
I like it's a subtle, well, maybe not a subtle difference, but the nuance involved in and how you can get your mind to that point of, you know, being confident in yourself, but not overly confident to the point of underestimating the opponent or not, you know, being aware of setting yourself up to, you know, make mistakes that could ultimately lead you to the outcome that you don't want to make is I mean, something that I think I can apply as well also to, you know, practice as a physician as well. So it's definitely, it's a key thing to be on top of.
Sure.
If you have, during a fight, right, if you ever feel that you are at a place where you're not thinking, you're just kind of reacting and doing, rather than like in the earlier on in your career, if you had moments of, okay, I need to get this technique down and really kind of focusing on it and feeling more robotic, versus where you're at now, where things just flow. Like you've studied, you've trained, you see a tell and you react to it, or you counter it, or you take advantage of it. Do you in the midst of a fight, when everything is going, what is your internal mind, your thoughts, if you have any, in that moment?
Just everything that you just said, just like see a tell, capitalize on it, counter it. Just try to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I think going from amateur, you know, and we're having a lesser amount of experience, like the frame rate is just like pop, 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 pop. It's so quick, it's over. You barely even remember what happened. You like, your friends are like, yo, what you did the second round? Like, you remember that? You're like, no, I don't remember that. It's like, you know, you have to watch video just like, oh, okay, like this is how I recall it. And then as you have more experience, the frame rate is slower, right? So then in those situations, I've been able to be more cerebral and pay attention to those smaller tells and nuances. You know, I've only had 3 professional fights, so that is a process that is still happening for me. I didn't have an extensive amateur career, so I haven't, you know, a lot of these guys have 200 amateur fights, and then they turn pro, you know. So, you know, I'm very much so still learning on the job, which is fine. But that experience and just getting the reps in and getting in the ring in those environments, the more you do it, the slower it moves, and the more mental space or mental capacity you have for you know, that, you know, to, I guess, that ability to analyze, just to be cerebral and to see what's going on. But I think, long story short, like, I am focusing on just trying to get better at seeing tells, get better at playing chess, right? It's boxing is something that is, you have to be extremely physically fit for, but it's up here, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely a mental strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I have a question. So I know that, so it seems like you went past amateur, you kind of transitioned to pro quicker. And I'm assuming that you needed more support from like just like better trainers, better, you know, consultants. What are, you know, you using to make sure you get the edge on your other fighters? Like, are you tapping into any like mental health specialists, like psychology, ways to think about, you know, priming your mind? Some of the, you know, sports psychologists actually do some, you know, mental techniques to keep you on the edge. Do you ever like utilize any of those things, or is that something that you haven't tapped into yet?
Yeah, I try to. I definitely will do. Well, I would say I for the most part, I'm in the routine of doing a nightly meditation. One of them's a competition affirmation. I should say a competition affirmation. It's about an hour long, and it just plays the same affirmations over and over again. That's just kind of like the passive mental work that I'll do. Actively, I'll do it more frequently as I get closer to fights. As far as sessions with a psychologist or sports psychologist or something like that, I did have a therapist that I was meeting with, but it wasn't necessarily in the lens. It didn't start off from the lens of sports specifically, but then did drift into that, which I thought was helpful. But I would love to work with a sports, a psychologist. It's just about access. I think the things that I have been able to implement, or the consultants that I've been able to pull in around me, are a dietitian, physical therapist. I still have my same, boxing coach, but, we'll go train and spar at different places every now and then, and, I'm saying, and get different knowledge from there. But yeah, I mean, like, I think it is important to get that mental work in. I try to do that by building my own knowledge base and then doing that for myself, like similar to like the nutrition, similar to like the strength conditioning. Because right now I don't have easy access to it. I mean, well, I guess, I don't know. I could probably do more research into how easy that access is.
No, yeah, I think, like, and I know Dr. Collins, he's also not on camera, but he has I think a specialty in trying to incorporate, the psychiatry, the psychology, and then also like that performance enhancement, in like a practice. But I think, like LeBron, he recently co-signed Calm app for meditation, those affirmations. So at least from that perspective, I know we always think about mental health, sleep, nutrition, and like social support. What, at least with those three, and then also it looks like you're also incorporating meditation, like how has that helped your skills, your ability to be focused, concentrated, and the best fighter you could be?
I think the competition affirmations just like instill this sense of, it's an affirmation, just like self-confidence, right? It's like you're training your brain to believe in yourself. And I think belief is at the core of any like great feat. You have to believe. If you don't believe, like, your chances of being able to achieve that significantly, diminish. So, and then better handling doubts. And so doubts will always be there. They don't go anywhere. So it's just understanding that, how to speak over that voice, and just be okay with it being there. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I kind of got straight from the question. Can you repeat the question for me?
Yeah, my question is a little long-winded sometimes, but just I guess, like, at least like the meditation, nutrition, how has that been helpful, like, to get you to the next level?
Yeah, been super helpful, man. Like, nutrition been crazy. I got my nutrition certification a few months ago. And it's been really helpful, like having access to more software, having access to that knowledge base, and then being able to help people, and as a result, better internalize it for myself. Has been great. I started doing some intermittent fasting stuff for this past fight, and just understanding how to be more efficient and metabolically flexible, with utilizing different fuel sources. Having all that knowledge and the disability to talk about that in that way helped me, perform, because then I can feel better as I'm losing weight, right? A lot of people will try to drop weight really fast, and as a result have electrolyte imbalances, or just be dehydrated, and as a result not be able to perform, right? So I think that from a nutrition standpoint has been super helpful for me. Social support. I got my Brie, I don't know if you heard her moving around. I got my pup, right, that was barking earlier. They definitely help me not work too much. I'm always working. And then just my friends, Charles Bay, the support system, people I can always reach out to, lean on if I ever need it. My line brothers, even though they may be across the country, it's like the social and the support system and the network that I've been blessed to have man, it's pretty hard. If you are not too prideful, I think that's the challenge for a lot of men. It's just like, or a lot of people, it's not knowing when to ask for help or when to reach out. For me, it's like, man, like, I got people who are just very, very smart. Like, we're all very intelligent, but just in extremely different ways. And so it's like, tap into that, and not being too prideful to do that. So, I think for me, it's just my mom instilled into me. Like, don't be too much of a fool to realize, like, when you need help, you know what I'm saying? Like, ask for help when you need it. Like, try to do it, you know, but if you can't, like,
Yes, sir.
you got people that are there for you, you know, and it's okay to lean on that.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I think that's big advice for, you know, any small coming up high school, college athlete. You know, don't be prideful, you know, and recognize who your support system is, because that'll take you such a long way. And so just to wrap up, like, what advice do you have for anyone, you know, trying to make a career, you know, make a living, try to training or anything for anyone coming up?
I think that advice varies significantly. I mean, if they're trying to be a professional athlete, my advice would be different to somebody that's trying to be a fitness professional. I think for me, like, I'm a fitness professional and I'm a professional athlete, so that line can be blurred. So I would, like, those are two separate fields. Like, but as it relates to, like, health and wellness and fitness and training in general, it's look, like, understand it's a science, and that, you know, if you don't understand anything about the science, you probably need you need help. Like, you know, help. It's like, use your resources, and don't quit. Just stay consistent. The worst thing you can do is stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, find ways to prioritize movement in any way, shape, or form. Just keep moving. You know, you get hurt, you hurt your arm, well, you can still move your legs. You hurt your legs, do some upper body stuff. You know, a lot of people will look for an excuse not to get to the gym, or then fall out of this habit, and then they spend a long time trying to rebuild habits, right? And then it's always like it's just like this yo-yo cycle of just always I'm getting there, you know what I'm saying, and then or whatever. So I think just don't quit. Stay at it, even if it fluctuates, you know, from 6 hours down to 2 hours. As long as you move, and you understand that does a lot for you, mentally and physically. So, yeah,
for sure, that's good advice, definitely.
Vic, it's been, I mean, I've known you for a minute, but it's always awesome seeing just people, you know, kind of in the midst of their flourishing, in the middle of them, like, coming this, you know, whole person who was just, I mean, dominating in multiple aspects of your life, man. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts, sharing your journey with us. For anyone who may be interested in your fight coming up, or just wanted to stay on top of you in general, what are the ways that people can see what your journey is like? And if they're in the DMV area, you know, tap into some of the resources that you provide, some of the training that you provide. Where can people go?
Yeah, so best way to find me is on IG at The Boxing Guy. The Boxing Guy is real easy. You know, I do both online training via app, online nutrition coaching via a nice app, and then I, you know, have a brick and mortar in Capitol Heights, Maryland. So, you know, my thing is, you know, at Fight Shape Fit, we just want to build resilient human beings who can face anything at any time, in any place, at any point of their lifespans. You know what I'm saying? So we want to build resilient people, and that requires a holistic view. So come train with me. It's all about service. Fight Shape Fit is our business page. The Boxing Guy is my personal page. Yeah, that's where to find me. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. This has been great.
Thank you, and congrats, or good luck. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but good luck on your upcoming fight. I know you're gonna do amazingly.
Yeah, thanks, man. And pull up May 7th in Philly. Hope to catch you out there.
It is.
The support means the world.
Thanks for coming on, man. Good luck.
All right, man. Peace.
Good luck, brother.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to our content today. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues. Also, follow us at Sports Psych ISSP on Twitter and Instagram, or you can find us on Facebook as the International Society for Sports Psychiatry. Are you a medical student, psychiatry resident, fellow in a psychiatry subspecialty fellowship program, or a psychiatrist who has completed a psychiatry residency program, interested in learning more about sports psychiatry? Join us and become a member of the ISSP. We have a free open source certificate of additional training in sports psychiatry program. For more information about our certification program, membership, or other inquiries, go to our website at sportspsychiatry.org.